What if I told you that the most powerful people in history didn't win because they were kind, but because they understood the dark side of human nature? What if power, control, and influence aren't born from luck or talent, but from the ability to think strategically, even when others can't stomach the truth? This is not about being cruel. It's about being dangerously aware. Centuries ago, one man dared to write what others feared to speak. His name was Niccolò Machiavelli. To some, he was a villain, a man without morals, obsessed with deceit and manipulation. But in reality, he was a philosopher of power, a master psychologist who studied the raw, unfiltered truth about how humans behave when the mask of morality falls away. He lived during an age of chaos, betrayal, and shifting empires, and he saw one pattern repeat itself again and again. The strong survive not because they are the best, but because they understand how the game is played. Machiavelli's ideas were so bold that his own name became a warning. Machiavellian, a word that still sends chills down the spine, yet behind that dark reputation lies a mind that could dissect the psychology of kings, generals, and manipulators with surgical precision. He wasn't promoting evil. He was exposing reality. And the truth is, his lessons can make you mentally dangerous, not to destroy others, but to protect yourself from being destroyed. In this video, you're going to learn 10 dark lessons that reveal how the world really works. Lessons drawn not just from Machiavelli's timeless insights, but also from modern psychology. These are not gentle self-help tips. They're sharp, uncomfortable truths about control, emotion, perception, and power. Truths that the strong use quietly, while the weak deny they even exist. You'll see how fear often controls people more effectively than kindness. You'll discover why image can be more powerful than truth. You'll learn how to read the hidden motives in others, turn chaos into strategy, and protect yourself from manipulation before it even begins. Each lesson exposes a side of the human mind that most prefer to ignore. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. Stay with me till the end, because every principle builds on the last. By the final lesson, you'll not only understand Machiavelli's philosophy, you'll be able to use it. You'll how to move through life with a kind of silent strength that few ever achieve. A strength that doesn't need validation, approval, or applause. A strength that makes you mentally untouchable. But let me warn you, these ideas aren't for everyone. They demand honesty. You'll need to question what you believe about morality, loyalty, and power. You'll see that the world doesn't always reward good intentions. It rewards results. And once you start thinking like Machiavelli, you'll notice patterns in people, in politics, even in your daily relationships, that you never saw before. The ones who smile the most often hide the sharpest knives. The ones who claim to care the most often crave control. And once you learn to see through that illusion, no one can manipulate you again. So if you're ready to understand what makes someone truly powerful, not physically but mentally, then this video is for you. You'll leave with more than ideas. You'll leave with tools. Tools to navigate ambition, conflict, and influence in any arena of life. Tools to defend yourself from emotional traps, social games, and the subtle power plays that happen all around you every day. Welcome to Psych Algorithm, where we decode the hidden psychology of power, strategy, and the human mind. If you're ready to think deeper, act smarter, and transform how you see the world, make sure subscribe and watch this video till the end, because today we're going beyond morality, beyond comfort, and into the dark brilliance of Machiavelli. Before we talk about the first dark lesson, let's pause and face a truth that most people never want to admit. The world doesn't reward authenticity. It rewards perception. You can be brilliant, kind, and honest, but if people don't see you that way, none of it matters. And this is where Machiavelli begins his teaching. He believed that power isn't about what you truly are, but about what others believe you are. To survive in a world of ambition and deceit, He wrote, "It is unnecessary for a prince to have all the good qualities I have enumerated, but it is very necessary to appear to have them." That single word, appear, is everything. Machiavelli lived in a world of shifting alliances, betrayals, and hidden plots. He watched rulers fall not because they were weak, but because they failed to control how they were perceived. To him, the public image was a weapon, sharper than any sword. A leader who looked virtuous could deceive enemies, inspire loyalty, and mask their flaws. The masses would follow not truth, but perception. And in many ways, isn't that still true today? Look around. The people who rise in business, politics, or even social life aren't always the most capable. They're the ones who look capable, the ones who know how to project confidence, control, and certainty, even when chaos burns beneath the surface. Machiavelli understood that humans are visual creatures. We don't experience reality directly. We interpret it through stories, symbols, and appearances. The person who understands this, who learns to shape their image consciously, gains a psychological advantage over everyone else. Because while others reveal their emotions, doubts, and weaknesses for the world to judge, the Machiavellian mind hides them behind a deliberate mask. Not a fake mask, but a strategic one, a tool that serves a purpose. He called it virtù, a quality that mixes strength, wisdom, and cunning. But he warned that displaying too much virtue could be dangerous. If you're too kind, people exploit you. Too honest, use your truth against you. Too transparent, and you lose mystery. One of the strongest sources of power. So Machiavelli's solution was balance. Appear moral, but think strategically. Smile but calculate. Promise but plan. Be seen as trustworthy, but always maintain control. Modern psychology supports this idea more than we'd like to admit. Studies in social dynamics and leadership show that perception consistently outweighs objective truth. A confident posture, a calm tone, and controlled speech trigger trust and authority in others' minds, even if no real power exists behind them. People don't see your inner world. They see your presentation. And that presentation shapes their emotions, their choices, even their loyalty toward you. Think about it. When someone enters a room and radiates quiet composure, everyone instinctively senses presence, even if they say nothing. That's not magic. That's perception management. Machiavelli would say that person already holds power because they control the story others tell about them. Meanwhile, the one who speaks too much, explains too hard, or tries too eagerly to prove themselves ends up losing respect. In trying to show their truth, they reveal too. The dangerous mind understands when to speak and when to remain silent, when to act and when to let others imagine, because imagination often builds a grander version of you than reality ever could. Machiavelli held that mystery was influence. The less you reveal, the more others project, and in those projections, you gain control. You become the author of their perception. But controlling perception doesn't mean living a lie. It means understanding that the world runs on appearances and learning to steer them, instead of being steered by them. It's the art of strategic visibility, showing just enough of yourself to inspire trust, while keeping your real intentions guarded. The most mentally dangerous people don't expose their plans. They let perception do the work for them. Their strength lies not in words, but in what others think their words mean. So, as we step into this first lesson, remember this. Reality might be what you live, but perception is what rules. Machiavelli knew that power isn't about changing truth. It's about shaping how truth is seen. And in a world that judges by surface, the one who masters appearances silently rules those who don't. Before we move forward, remember the first dark lesson. Perception rules the world. But Machiavelli's next truth takes us deeper into the heart of power, where emotions like love and fear shape everything we do. In The Prince, he wrote the line that shocked generations. It is much safer to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. At first, it sounds ruthless, but beneath it lies a psychology that still governs human relationships today. Love is fragile. It depends on others' feelings, and feelings shift like weather. Fear, on the other hand, is grounded in respect, boundaries, and self-preservation. Machiavelli wasn't glorifying cruelty, he was teaching control. He saw rulers destroyed not because they lacked kindness, but because they depended on it. When times grew hard, those who loved them vanished. Fear, however, endures. People avoid betraying the one they ret, and hesitate to challenge the one they fear losing to. Machiavelli understood something timeless. Human loyalty has limits, but the instinct to avoid pain and loss is almost unbreakable. When someone respects you deeply, even fears disappointing you, you hold influence that love alone can't guarantee. Fear in Machiavelli's mind was not terror. It was discipline, command, certainty. It's the quiet authority that makes others think twice before crossing you. Think of it as psychological gravity. People owe feet those who emit certainty and strength, but they drift away from those desperate to be liked. The desire to please everyone is weakness disguised as virtue. And weakness, he warned, invites predators. In modern life, this lesson translates to boundaries. A leader, a parent, a partner, anyone in a position of influence must make decisions that others may dislike. Trying to be loved by all leads its hesitation and loss of control. A Machiavellian mind sets limits calmly and enforces them without apology. You don't need to shout or intimidate. Your consistency speaks louder than emotion. Fear, in this sense, becomes respect, the recognition that your words carry weight and your actions have consequence. Love may bring comfort, but fear commands order. Machiavelli saw this distinction clearly because he lived through an age where affection couldn't protect anyone from betrayal. He'd watched Florence's allies turn into enemies' own taint, and rulers executed by those who once swore loyalty. So he chose the path of realism over romance. Be loved if you can, he said, but never depend on it. Depend on respect, and you will and endurance. Mental endurance is what this entire journey is about. Once you understand that control comes not from being liked, but from being steady, people start responding differently. They measure their words around you. They weigh their action. That's not fear in the cruel sense. That's presence. The kind of presence that commands attention without begging for it. This leads us to the next dark truth. Control the narrative before others do. Machiavelli understood that power often doesn't lie in strength or even strategy. It lies in story. Whoever shapes the story first controls how others interpret reality. And in politics, as in life, interpretation often outweighs truth itself. He saw it in the courts of Florence, where rumors could destroy reputations overnight. He saw that kings, generals, and advisors didn't fight battles with swords. They fought them with words. The one who spoke first, who defined the situation, set the stage for everyone else to follow. If you don't create your own story, someone else will, and they'll write you as the villain. Machiavelli's insight was brutally clear. Silence invites misinterpretation. Hesitation invites takeover. To control the narrative is to define reality before anyone else gets the chance. That doesn't mean lying. It means taking ownership of your truth and presenting it with authority. The first voice to fill a void becomes the trusted voice. Because humans crave clarity, they follow the confident storyteller, not the hesitant observer. Machiavelli's philosophy mirrors what modern psychologists now call framing. Studies show that whoever frames an event, defines its cause, its meaning, its direction, automatically shapes how others perceive it. Once that frame is established, it's nearly impossible to break. Think of a scandal, a rumor, a workplace misunderstanding. The one who speaks first, who defines intentions and outcomes, plants the emotional seed in everyone's mind. Every later explanation becomes reaction, not leadership. Machiavelli warned that a leader who lets others define him is already lost. The strong act, the weak explain. So, when facing conflict, speak first. Define what happened, what it means, and what comes next. By doing that, you seize psychological control. You're no longer reacting. You're directing. The most dangerous minds do this instinctively. They anticipate attack, misunderstandings, even envy, and they craft their version of events long before the first whisper begins. That's the dark beauty of this lesson. It doesn't rely on brute force. It relies on anticipation, on understanding that people believe stories, not facts. The facts matter less than the meaning people attach to them. And that meaning is born from whoever owns the narrative. From here, Machiavelli goes even deeper into the foundation of all his philosophy. Understanding human nature itself. Because if you don't understand what drives people, no amount of strategy can save you. Human beings were not noble creatures. Guided by virtue, they were restless, ambitious, and endlessly hungry for control. Men are ungrateful, fickle, false, cowardly, covetous, he wrote. Not out of bitterness, but out of observation. He'd seen how easily loyalty turns to envy, how promises fade when opportunity arises. This perspective wasn't cynicism, it was realism. Machiavelli believed that expecting people to act out of pure goodness is a mistake that leads to ruin. People act out of interest, emotion, and of loss. If you understand that, you stop being shocked by betrayal, flattery, or competition. You start reading motives like a map, and that map gives you the upper hand. To navigate human nature, you must see the layers beneath words. A compliment may hide manipulation, a friendly gesture might carry strategy. And sometimes, a rival's attack reveals their deepest insecurity. Machiavelli's dangerous wisdom was that you can't change what people are, but you can learn to predict what they'll do. He called this knowledge the core of power. It allowed him and those who studied him to move through chaos with calm precision. In today's world, this lesson remains as alive as ever. When you stop assuming goodness and start recognizing self-interest, you become harder to deceive. You begin to anticipate people's moves instead of reacting to them. You stop taking things personally and start analyzing them logically. Someone ignores you. Maybe it's not disrespect, it's calculation. Someone flatters you excessively. Maybe it's distraction. Seeing the truth of human drives allows you to navigate life strategically instead of emotionally. And yet Machiavelli never advised isolation. He didn't tell us to reject trust, but to manage it carefully. Which brings us to another dangerous insight. Keep your friends close, and your enemies acer. The phrase has been echoed through centuries, but its spirit lives in Machiavelli's teachings. To him, an enemy is not merely a threat. It's a source of intelligence. He understood that the people who oppose you often reveal the most about you. They study your weaknesses, analyze your decisions, and expose the cracks you can't see. By keeping them close, you gain a mirror, one that reflects truth without flattery. Distance breeds ignorance. Proximity breeds understanding. To push your enemies away is to blind yourself to danger. Machiavelli also noticed something deeper. Enemies keep you sharp. When you have opposition, you're alert, disciplined, and strategic. When you're surrounded only by friends, comfort dulls your instincts. In the quiet of safety, weakness grows. That's why rulers, generals, and thinkers across time have quietly respected their rivals. The presence of resistance forces refinement. But keeping enemies close doesn't mean trusting them. It means observing, studying, and learning. It's strategic proximity, knowing where they stand, how they think, and what they might do next. A Machiavellian mind doesn't waste energy on hatred. It converts threat into knowledge. Every critic becomes a teacher. Every rival becomes a test. And every betrayal becomes data for future defense. Applied to daily life, this lesson becomes clear. Don't ignore potential threats. Pay attention to who watches you, who competes with you, and who whispers about you. Study them not with anger, but with nuisance. Let them reveal the game board you're playing on, because once you understand your enemies, they stop being dangerous. Fear and love, perception and story, loyalty and rivalry, all are pieces of the same game Machiavelli mastered. And through each lesson, he wasn't teaching cruelty. He was teaching survival. He is showing how to walk through a world built on illusion and ambition without losing your center. These ideas may be dark, but they are light to those who can handle the truth. Before we move deeper into the shadows of Machiavelli's mind, it's important to understand one thing. Darkness itself isn't evil. It's energy. And like any form of power, it can either destroy or strengthen you. Machiavelli never told people to become monsters. He simply revealed that everyone carries one inside them. The difference between the wise and the reckless is that the wise control it. That's where the sixth lesson begins. Harness the dark side, but don't become it. Modern psychology calls this the dark triad, a mix of narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy. People hear those words and immediately think of villains, manipulators, or sociopaths. But research shows something more complex. A mild degree of those traits, controlled confidence, emotional detachment, strategic thinking, can actually make people more resilient, more focused, and more effective under pressure. The danger isn't in using the dark side, it's in being consumed by it. Machiavelli's own life proves this balance. He was exiled, tortured, and humiliated by the same rulers he once advised, yet he didn't break. He wrote The Prince not as revenge but as a manual for survival. He understood that to endure a corrupt world, you can't stay naive. You must learn from darkness without letting it define you, to use it like a blade, sharp, efficient, but always under control. When you harness your darker impulses, anger, ambition, pride, you turn them into engines for discipline and focus. Anger becomes energy for action. Pride becomes the drive to improve. Even detachment becomes clarity, fear you from emotional chaos. The key is self-awareness. The Machiavellian mindset isn't hearts. It's observant. It doesn't lash out, it plans. It doesn't destroy, it redirects. In a world where people wear masks of virtue but act from hidden motives, learning to navigate the shadows gives you protection. It means you can read manipulation without using it, sense lies without lying, and play the game without losing your integrity. True power lies not in domination, but in emotional control. Because the moment you lose control of yourself, someone else gains it. From here, Machiavelli offers another insight that defines every powerful thinker. When crisis hits, don't run. Use it. This is lesson 7. Use crisis as opportunity. In his eyes, chaos is not a threat, but a natural part of existence. Empires rise. Alliances collapse. Fortunes reverse. This is the rhythm of life. The difference between the weak and the strong is that the weak freeze, while the strong move. Machiavelli wrote that a wise ruler uses instability to rebuild stronger foundations. When a storm hits, they don't complain about the wind. They redirect it. History is filled with those who used chaos to their advantage. A failed ruler turns into a revolution. A lost job becomes the start of a movement. A betrayal becomes the moment of awakening. Machiavelli would tell you when the ground shakes beneath you, that's not your end. That's your chance to reposition. He believed that adversity sharpens intelligence. When everything collapses, illusions fall with it. You begin to see who is loyal, who is false, and where your real strengths lie. In those moments, while others panic or give up, The Machiavellian mind stays calm. It observes the shifting landscape, studies the new balance of power, and asks one question: what can I use this for? That question is the difference between survival and defeat. Because every crisis carries information. It exposes truths hidden by comfort. It shows you what's fragile and what's unbreakable within you. If you can face chaos without losing your mind, you gain a kind of authority that no one can teach. People around you will look for stability, and they'll find it in you. That's power, the kind that doesn't need to be announced. Machiavelli's view of chaos connects directly to his next belief. Fortune favors the bold. He saw fortune, or chance, as a wild river, unpredictable, powerful, and uncontrollable. You can't stop it from flooding, but you can build barriers, prepare channels, and know when to move. This is lesson 8. Embrace the unpredictable. He warned against those who cling too tightly to plans or comfort. The rigid mind breaks when life shifts suddenly, but the adaptable mind bends and survives. Being mentally dangerous means being able to move when others freeze. Machiavelli believed that fortune rewards those who act decisively when the moment arrives. Not those who wait for perfect timing, but those who create it. He compared fortune to a woman, wild, impulsive, drawn to the bold. In his words, it is better to be impetuous than cautious. What he meant was simple. Waiting too long for certainty is the same as surrender. If you want control in an uncertain world, act first. Take risks when opportunity appears, even if it looks unstable, because most people won't, and their hesitation becomes your advantage. Think of it this way. Life will never be predictable. Plans will fail. People will change. But the one who can adapt, who can stay calm amid the storm, who can rebuild while others despair, that person becomes unstoppable. The Machiavellian doesn't curse fate. They learn to dance with it. Their boldness isn't recklessness. It's readiness. And that readiness transforms chaos into strategy. As we move forward, Machiavelli unveils another rule of power that sounds deceitful on the surface but is rooted in realism. Appear ethical, but operate strategically. This is lesson 9, and it eats at the heart of human hypocrisy. Machiavelli never told anyone to be immoral. He told them to understand that morality and politics rarely align perfectly. A leader must appear moral and maintain trust, but must be prepared to act beyond morality when survival demands it. He saw virtue as theater, a necessary performance in public life. People judge by appearances, not motives. They crave leaders who seem just, honest, and good. So appearing virtuous creates stability. But behind that mask, Machiavelli believed, you must think coldly, calculate precisely, and protect your interests. Because the world isn't fair, and good intentions alone rarely win against cunning rivals. This doesn't mean living a double life. It means separating emotion from decision. The Machiavellian acts ethically when possible, but strategically when required. They don't betray values. They adapt them to reality. They understand that sometimes, to preserve the greater good, you must make choices that look ruthless in the moment. History is filled with examples. Leaders who made impossible decisions not out of cruelty, but necessity. Modern psychology agrees that morality is situational. Context often decides what's right. Machiavelli simply removed the illusion. He believed it's wiser to maintain your image of integrity while making tough decisions privately, because perception maintains order, while realism ensures survival. The one who understands both wins the long game. He wrote, "Men in general judge more by the eye than by the hand. That means they judge you by what they see, not by what you truly do. So protect your image, but never confuse it with your mind. Keep your ethics in your heart, and your strategy in your head. And when those two conflict, remember that survival is the foundation of every future virtue." Finally, Machiavelli's 10th lesson brings all the others together. Build a mindset of power and preservation, not just performance. To him, the purpose of leadership wasn't applause, it was endurance. The true ruler doesn't chase glory. They protect the state. The same principle applies to your own life. Don't build a mind that only performs. Build one that lasts. Performance seeks validation. It's temporary. Preservation seeks stability. It's eternal. Most people chase short-term wins. They crave recognition, success, status. But Machiavelli saw how quickly those things vacuum when the foundation is weak. The performer shines for a moment. The strategist endures through generations. Building a mindset of preservation means thinking like an empire. You guard your resources, your energy, your focus, your reputation. You don't waste them on pointless conflicts or shallow victories. You invest in strength that daunts over time. Discipline, awareness, and restraint. The Machiavellian mind asks, not how do I win today, but how do I stay unshaken 10 years from now? This is where the true meaning of being mentally dangerous emerges. It's not about aggression, it's about control. A controlled mind can't be manipulated, provoked, or broken. It moves with purpose, acts with clarity, and sees beyond the emotions of the moment. That kind of mindset doesn't just survive chaos. It shapes it. Machiavelli's wisdom, drawn from the turbulence of Renaissance Italy, still mirrors the modern world. The powerful aren't those who never fall. They're those who know how to rebuild, adapt, and evolve without losing their core. To be feared without being cruel, strategic without being deceitful, adaptable without losing identity. That is the balance of true strength. And that strength doesn't come from rejecting darkness. It comes from mastering it. These 10 lessons aren't about becoming ruthless or corrupt. They're about developing a kind of strength that cannot be broken. To be mentally dangerous doesn't mean to harm others. It means to be unshakable when others crumble, strategic when others react, aware when others are blind, and resilient when others retreat. Machiavelli's wisdom was never about cruelty. It was about clarity. He taught that those who understand both virtue and darkness can move through the world with balance, power, and precision. So this week, choose just one of these lessons to practice. Maybe it's using crisis as opportunity. Maybe it's appearing calm while strategizing silently. Or maybe it's simply learning to harness your own darker emotions and turning them into strength. Whatever you choose, remember this. The strongest minds don't only work in daylight. They know exactly how to operate when the lights go out. If this video made you think deeper, then like it, share it, and subscribe to Psych Algorithm for more content on Machiavellian psychology, deep mindset, and the art of mental strategy. Because true power begins when you master both your darkness and your light.